Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today for a very interesting webinar. This is the ACTEA webinar. You are called Planning Your Career as a Woman of God. And what an interesting topic we're going to be listening to today. I'm Marilyn Naiju, and I'll be your moderator today. And when I think about the topic, I remember when I felt first called to ministry, I was just so excited that I was just so open for any opportunity that would come my way. And to tell you, for the first few years, I really didn't think about career planning. I was just excited to be used. And it was only when I went into a formal university a setting that I became more alert to how I could progress in my career. So I'm looking forward to this presentation, and I think very many of us would be in the same boat, of wondering how could we actually make this a reality in our institution. So we're looking forward to a very interactive time. So we will hear something about career planning, and then we will have a time of breakout where we can discuss and talk about what we're hearing in 2 sessions, and then we will come back and round off the entire webinar. So thank you all for joining us, and it gives me special a privilege to introduce you to our speaker, and she is really very capable to present on this topic. She is Canon, Dr. Naomi Lumutenga, and she's on your screen. And she is the Executive Director and Co-founder of Higher Education Resource Services East Africa. And I suggest that you look up this website because they really look to capacitating women in higher education. So some things about Dr. Naomi. She is from Uganda, and she has completed most of her education in the UK with a PhD in education, master's from the UK University College, and her bachelor's degrees on economics and geography. And she got this from Makerere University in Uganda. So currently she is a semi-retired teacher who lives and works in the UK, and she's been there for many years, about 35 years. And she, of course, moves between the UK and Uganda. She also has a very, very important job in that she serves as an honorary canon at the Canterbury Cathedral in the UK. So I'm sure she has met the royal family. And she's been engaged with the Church of England for over 30 years. And currently she's a lay member of the General Synod for the last 11 years. And she's an ex officio on the Canterbury Diocesan Synod and Archbishop's Council. And in that portfolio, she was also nominated to the Worldwide Anglican Consultative Council, where she served as advisor to the Archbishop's representative in the UN Secretariat in New York. And she has drawn on her experience of economics, her passion for social justice. She's written many position papers towards the Committee on the Status of Women in the UN. She is also, very importantly, a co-founder with HISA East Africa. You should look up that website. And that institution has partnerships with NGOs, universities, funders, and those in academic leadership. So she is more than capable to lead us today in this discussion. So welcome, Dr. Naomi. We're very pleased that you accepted the invitation to speak, and I now hand over to you. Please give you the time, and we look forward to what you've got to share with us.
Thank you so much, Marilyn. It is a huge privilege on my part, really, to have this opportunity. Listening to that, I thought, who are they talking about? But here we go. It's an honor. It is a privilege. I accept this with humility, and I will do my best to get us through. Um, am I on view? Do I have a
Yeah.
full screen?
Yes, we can see both yourself, and maybe you could put your PowerPoint on full screen, or you could leave it
That's
as is. But it,
wait. Let me see if I get it quickly on full view, that would be helpful. Um, okay, I think that's better.
okay.
Can you see my screen? Am I sharing my screen?
Yes, that's fine.
Wonderful. Thank you once again, Marilyn. I'm going to try and whiz through this. The good thing with this introduction is that it cuts out quite a bit of what I wanted to share with you about my journey because quite a bit of it has already been mentioned. So the plan is I will talk for, it's going to be less than 20 minutes now because it's imperative that we keep within the allocated time. And then we'll break out and have a conversation. And I'm not here to feed people with do's and don'ts. It's interactive, like we were told. So I'm also very, very interested to hear what you have to say because it will enrich the next phase. And then I'll come back and talk to you again about the way forward. And then we'll have a discussion about the way forward. And then we'll collectively wrap this up. And at that point, I'll be very much looking forward to what you have to say about what you have heard. So, like I said, this is not about recipients and givers. This is us learning together. And we'll be thinking through what I've called the big questions. Are you in the right place, career wise? And how do you know if you're in the right place? Do you think career planning compromises faith? After all, shouldn't we just be saying our prayers? And then we'll look at what career development lessons your institution, my institution, could learn from others. So there are various that we have worked with and we've discerned some of the good practices that I'll try and consolidate. And then some self-help tips because I'm not assuming that everybody belongs to an institution. So here we go. You have already been told I am originally from Uganda because my life is split. I lived increasingly more of my life in UK than Uganda, but Uganda is my home. Eastern part of Uganda, slopes of Mount Elgon. I mentioned that because it is part and parcel of who I am. And I would encourage everyone to look back to their own origins because we don't shake them off. They are part of who we are. So it's important that we look to and embrace our story before someone else writes it for us or about us. What is my story? What is my uniqueness? And therein is embedded my calling to the service, to my service to God. I was excited to hear Marilyn talking about her calling in ministry and how we can get complacent and feel perhaps that we have arrived. So my story, not at all straightforward. Going back to my early childhood, that's my grandmother in the picture, me and my two brothers who come after me, but there's a whole raft of us. There's six of us all together. I was not expected to live, period. I'm the eldest child of many. My parents had lost four children. They were either stillborn or miscarriage or some mysterious thing was going on because the girl I come after lived for 2 weeks and then she went. And my mother confessed that she didn't want to get attached to me because it was a matter of time until I was gone. But here I am, defying the odds. And I want to mention my undergraduate studies at Makerere University. It doesn't take long to pick out Makerere University. It's one of the premier institutions in Africa. So it was a privilege to be there. I entered the university during the reign of perhaps the most well-known Ugandan leader, Idi Amin, and life was hell on earth, and I use those words very deliberately. It was another encounter, various encounters, close shave with death. We were escaping one of the fights when my roommate with whom I was running off the fighting site got blown apart, and I excuse my graphic illustration, but I wanted to make the point that I was not expected to leave. And then I was hiding between two walls for days with gunfire. So I thought I'll go to the kitchen, make a cup of tea. I was holding a kettle, pouring water in the cup, and the kettle was blown by a bullet. I was left with a handle. I guess what I'm trying to say is life is complex. Anyway, then moved on to live in England. I came first before my husband. Young family, my youngest was 2. We settled in fairly quickly. Smooth it was. My husband, being a mathematician, didn't take long to get a job. And then we got in. And I enjoyed my teaching most of the time. But I think my leadership and where I felt really comfortable and grew as a leader was within the Church of England. It may have been some kind of novelty, being different. I used it to my benefit, if you like. So I quickly went through the ranks as a parish church warden, diocese, general synod. That's the highest decision-making body in the Church of England. And because of the Church of England being the established church, it means that also being in Canterbury is the Archbishop's diocese. So I have had very close working relationships with 4 archbishops. But it does mean, like Marilyn quite rightly speculated, you rub shoulders with royalty, with national leaders, and so on and so forth, and that gives opportunities for having an impact. It wasn't always comfortable, but somehow it felt right. I learned a lot from those circles, but I felt I was there. I deserved to be there because I felt listened to and did my best to be a voice of those that didn't have the voice. So, therefore, it was in that journey that I felt I discovered a lot of my talents that I didn't know existed. And so I wanted us to, while we approach with caution, to remember that we have talents. Every one of us has talents according to our ability. That God doesn't make mistakes. So He deliberately made you different from me and me different from you. But each of us is fearfully and wonderfully made, as David reminds us in Psalms. So let's invest in who we are rather than looking at someone else. So here we go. This is very familiar. The 5 talents put to good use. The 1 talent, feeling so fearful of losing it that it was hidden, and in the end, it disappeared. There is a lot of logical sense in this. If you don't use your talents, they don't grow, they don't develop. That's how you lose them. So you've got to think for yourself which one of these speaks to you. So, James. The book of James reminds us that faith without works is dead. Just keep that at the back of your mind, even as we have this conversation today. So I wanted to, before I share with you examples of Christians who prayed and listened and planned, perhaps what we can term today career planning, I wanted to share a quick story of a devoted Christian woman who was on a rooftop praying fervently as the flood around the house was rising towards the windows. She was praying to be saved. And then the fire people, the emergency services came with a ladder. And they asked her to step on the ladder so they can take her to the rescue space. And she waved them off, saying she was praying. Don't disturb my prayers. So off they went. Story goes, she drowned, obviously died. The good Christian went to heaven. And at the gate of heaven was made by an angel. And she had a go at the angel saying, why didn't you save me? I was praying. The angel said, I sent you a ladder and you didn't listen. You didn't act. So let's keep that and see where we go with it. So here are examples of Christians who prayed, they listened, they planned. Professor Georgia Dunstan Black is an American geneticist. And by the way, have embedded active YouTube channels or links where you can click on when you get the recording and you can see more about these folks. She's very passionate about what is it that makes one person catch a disease, the other not, when you put them in the same room, same control factors. What makes me black and another person brown, and so on and so forth. We can hypothesize on that, but she wants the science behind it. Then you got Dr. Mercy Akinyi, veterinarian. This one's from Kenya. I have picked them from different parts of the world so we can see that this is not focused in one part compared to another. So Mercy's focus is, how does disease start? How does it progress? How is it transmitted? It's not good enough saying, especially zoonotic diseases where her passion is from animals to humans. It's not enough saying I got this from a monkey, but how did it progress? Then we have Dr. Joanna Ng, who is Canadian, Chinese Canadian. Her passion is in AI, but she mingles it somehow with her faith. And her passion is in understanding how humans, when they engage with AI and machine learning, how does that eventually lead to addictions? Not addictions to machines, but addictions to all manner of substances. Lydia Mankonda is of Indian origin. She's now in the United States. And when Lydia went on a PhD program, her church community in India that had been praying, as you do, that your grown-up daughter gets married and gets children and raises them in a nice Christian way, she was unstoppable with her education. So she grew up, she had to contend with questions like, why does a woman need to study this much? What do you need it? I suspect a lot of us have had this, a lot of us Christian women. But this is one of my favorite Christians, Dr. or Sir James Young Simpson, who lived in 19th century British Scot. James is credited for discovering chloroform, and he based this on Genesis 2:21, where God caused Adam to fall asleep, deep sleep, took out a rib, and then closed the flesh. James's focus, attraction to this verse was causing Adam to go into deep sleep. So he felt spoken to by God that surgical pain can be relieved if you can cause the patient to go into deep sleep. And that's how what we take for granted today, before James's time, you had to undergo surgery when you are fully conscious. You may or may not want to contemplate what that looked like. But these are a few examples of Christians who believed they did what they did because of their faith. It didn't impinge their career planning and how they impacted the world. So those are a few practical examples. And now we can try and theorize, because I'm aware that I'm in a space of academics. How can we theorize career planning? And how can we theorize calling in a faith space? So career development has got historical context, goes way back to the agrarian and industrial revolution societies. That's where they started to map career. It's important to know that definitions vary. Obviously, once you get into academia, you can take the term in any direction you want, so long as you can justify and illustrate. So there are forms of calling that people feel are introspective, very personal, a bit like James, who felt spoken to cause people to fall asleep. And then you have others who think it's external, like God spoke through someone, like the example of the woman on the rooftop. The work as calling theory is a concept with a whole body of knowledge, a whole body of literature out there. And it generally outlines the difference I found between perceived calling and lived calling, because you can claim it. Story of the lion and the goat, both praying to the same God. The lion saying, give me that goat, O Lord, for supper, and I'll be a good boy. And the goat saying, save me from the lion, and I'll be a good boy. So we do have these juxtaposed perception and actual lived out. We don't need to bear in mind contextual factors that influence individuals' ability to live our calling. We're all called. That's an assertion I have made right from start. But what is it that prevents us from living out our calling? And I'll be interested to hear what you all have to say about that. But also to bear in mind that gender is a significant axis of disadvantage. You're disadvantaged from day one just because of being a woman. There are things you don't access and you don't take for granted. And so that's what necessitates tailored career development support for women. It has to be managed, resourced, intentional. And then there is a need, and this is where we all need to come in and come together. There is a need for intersectional feminist perspectives. We have to overlay this understanding with a feminist lens so that it's properly understood for what it is. Because, like I've said, just by virtue of being a woman, you start from below the number line. But also to approach with caution, because there is a dark side to this calling. In my experience of sitting on pastoral committees in church structures, I have had to deal with people who are struggling with addictions, workaholism itself, burnout, that kind of micromanaging where you don't want to let go of anything, and in the end, you just crash. And then there's exploitation. I think we're all very familiar with the dark side of exploitation that goes on within church, very different church structures. So I want to take a pause here and request for some help to get us into groups so that we can have a conversation about, are you in the right place career-wise, and how do you know that you are? If we can keep this to about 15 minutes, would be an absolute thriller. I'll hand this to Verena, maybe. Thank you. So everybody's back?
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. I understand from Verena that we have 2 to 5 minutes max for some quick burning feedback. If you got some really burning issue you would like to share with us quickly about what transpired in your group, whether you're in the right, somebody was in the right place and how they knew, or were you yourself in the right place and how you knew, just unmute and shout out and share with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think I'll go first. My name is Beatrice Ruara. I'm from Kenya. I'm studying in St. Paul's University right now, but I've been practicing ministry as an Anglican priest. I'm 28 years old. I have a background in statistics and programming, and coming to school to further studies with culture, maybe you're catching up with time and you should be married, you should be having a family and all that. Sometimes it could be so hectic, like you're having internal conflict. But after listening and sitting from wonderful women who have been my mentors for like 15 minutes, but they have really taught me so much. I've learned that I'm where I'm supposed to be. Like I'm in the right place career-wise because this is a choice that I made. And they have brought out very key and very important points to make me understand that I'm in the right place. And in their discussions, I was able to highlight that when you're in your right place career-wise, you have a sense of fulfillment and you are able to volunteer even without monetary gain. One of them said she's in an institution, and in that school in Nigeria, sometimes students will come, they don't have enough school fees, and they can volunteer to just contribute and pay school fees for these students, yet they don't earn so much money as lecturers. So she brought out that you are able to volunteer even without being told, even without you having monetary gain. And another point that I was able to get is that you are enthusiastic, because you are saying they are able to try to work as a career woman. You're volunteering in church, you're a mother, and you're trying to work all these just as you, one person. Sometimes you can be very tired, but you're enthusiastic. You just want to do it because it's something that's coming from within you. And I feel empowered. So, and I couldn't just keep quiet. I had to share. Thank you.
Wonderful, Beatrice. You have touched so many things. I wanted to start by saying you're talking to a mother of four. I don't call them children. They're two men and two women with their own children now. And I feel that whatever I did, being a mother made me do it better. And whatever I was doing made me a better mother, because I think those things are interconnected. But you mentioned the burnout, you've hinted to it. We have to be very mindful of that. You talked about mentorship, absolutely critical. That is projecting into what I'm about to mention next. So thank you. Any other? One more only, please, and then we'll move on. Thank you so much, Beatrice. Anyone else, or shall we just proceed? Okay. Thank you. We'll probably hear from someone else after the next session, but well done, Beatrice, for sharing what you shared with us. So that takes us to my next part that I wanted to share with you, which is how can institutions help? What could institutions be doing? Because I'm aware that amongst you, if you're not already a leader in an institution, you will be. I hope that is your destiny. In that case, what can you do to support? Remember what I said at the beginning, being a woman disadvantages you almost automatically. So the institution needs to be intentional. And so some of those that we have worked with have packages like flexible working patterns. They have removed age limit for PhD applications, because you will find in many universities they say apply if you are under 35, which means implicitly women can't, because women of that age group have toddlers, or they're distracted by all manner of things. And to have nurseries, to well-being clubs, to personal finance advice, a lot of things that universities can do that would feed into somebody's personal well-being, personal development. I'm not going to touch other than just mention the importance of work-life balance, because I know I've had a webinar on this before, and those who missed can just go back to the website and plug in. So institutionally, it is critical that institutions have policy, and that those that have wonderful policies, they are not just on the shelf gathering dust, that they are implemented. If they are implemented, there needs to be some accountability for not implementing. Otherwise, why bother? The well-managed faith-based institutions also have action, serious action, zero tolerance on sexual harassment. representation on committees and interview panels, so that there are one or two institutions, faith-based institutions we worked with, that seemed, in my view, to have more barriers to women than a non-faith-based institution. Because, of course, they are selectively quoting the Bible as a way of fulfilling very human agenda of keeping women out of the action. So there are others that have very tailored capacity building initiatives. They headhunt women, encourage them in their career development, point them to where opportunities emerge for training, support them, look out for them. Then the women themselves, in some cases, have set up groups where they get together and support each other. And some really good institutions have institutionalized those groups. They've looked out for them and actually funded them, resourced them. So it is really important to track any of these mechanisms that have been put in place, so that they're not just tick boxes because it's what the law says, or because it's what some grant funding foundation wants you to show that you focus on gender. So you throw in some women on your website just to look good. But I'm not making the assumption that everyone belongs to an institution. So what if? There is always the what if. What if you do not belong to an institution? For example, folks working in ministry, especially the non-institutionalized churches that don't have a hierarchy. You are pretty much out there on your own. And then what if your institution is what I have named a slow vessel? A slow vessel tends to go in one direction. And if there's an obstacle, it will become a little bit like Titanic. It's going to hit it because you can't steer it out of that course easily. So what do you do? So with those thoughts in mind, I have also pulled out a few tips that you can do to help yourself. So we start with some online links. All of these, by the way, are active. So if you get your hands on the recording, you can just click. So like I've said, you're just one click away. The first is a series of podcasts that are generally about women and careers. Two women who are absolutely phenomenal. They're very engaging, very entertaining in making good points, solid points. The second one is about aligning your career plan and your faith. And I found that, again, an eye-opener. So careers and faith for Christian women, quite similar. And the fourth one, how to avoid regrets in career planning, career change. Now, the good thing about these live or YouTube resources is that they lead to others. So there's a whole lot of cluster connected ones. If you don't like that particular one, there will be another one within that category. And then in the world of academia, of course, we like reading publications. You can download these and do one at a time. As you probably know, each one of them comes with a whole raft of references that you can click on and find more information. So a whole body of literature there on workers' calling theory that I mentioned at the beginning, career life and family. The Christian women have to choose, basically what Beatrice was talking about a minute ago. Women in leadership, future of Christian women in higher education. We need Christian women in higher education. How do we reimagine higher education so that Christian women belong and don't feel guilty about it? And then there's the breaking the barriers in career development, and so on and so forth. This is all about mental health. If you like a good book, this Laura Bates one, Fix the System, Not the Women. Every university we have visited, as has East Africa, and 9 out of 10 are led by men. We take a lot of joy in presenting them with that book. because the general view is that, I don't know about you, but I feel the phrase women empowerment is a bit tired. It looks at women as the problem. And if you fix the women, all is well. No. I liken it to training a good swimmer, but if you put that swimmer in a pool of oil, they will not swim. So the system is the one that really has the power to unblock this whole thing. The No Club, that is about women, how they get asked to do all the jobs that other folks won't do because they don't lead you to anywhere, and so on and so forth. So just a few that I would strongly recommend. So I'd like us to have a little think about what is it that prevents us, you, from career planning. What is it? Just I don't know how the groups will work out. If you get mixed up and find yourself with a new groups, even better, you get to know other people. So Verena, over to you again, so we can have a little reflection session on just what two things inhibit us from career planning. Thank you so much.
I'd like to say that I really appreciate you having us discuss the obstacles that are in our path, the things that inhibit us, because you can't navigate a path forward until you recognize the obstacles that are in your path. And so I really, really appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you. You don't know what arms to equip yourself with until you know the nature of the enemy you're fighting. So yeah, thank you for recognizing that. Really, really important, because then you know how to go about it. So Verena, I assume we're all back now.
Yes, we are all back. You can go ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So Ruth has got us up to a really great start. Anyone else want to share anything from your thoughts, your group? Just unmute and go for it.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
So
I was in. Hi, this is Jean.
Hello,
I was
Jean.
in group. Hi. So in our group, I think the main thing that stood out was our role as wives, in that wherever, let's say, work related, if our husband, wherever the husband works, then we have to move. If he moves, then we move, and our career is destabilized at that point. One of our sisters shared that her husband was doing a PhD in the US, and she was home in Ethiopia with the kids. She got an opportunity to do her PhD in the UK, but she couldn't. So she couldn't get a full scholarship, so she had to let that one go. And so she's staying at home in Ethiopia with the children. Yes, so if striking a balance between time with family and time with work, that one was huge. And generally, and also economic issues and ministry. But at the end of the day, we need to manage and not completely sacrifice our careers. So finding a balance was huge also. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Helena has her hand up.
Yes. One of the issues that was raised was self-exclusion by women, with the fear that what is going to happen, I'm a woman, because of the cultural things that has entangled us. And so we are scared to even move forward most of the time, because we don't know what is the response is going to be on the other side. The other one is also that we need to have conversations before marriage so that we know where our spouses stand when we decide to progress, and not ask us, what are you going to do out there? You are a woman and you are limited to the kitchen. After all, what is education going to do for you? And that's another one. Even though in some places these conversations are being had and things are changing for younger women, we need to have more conversations than that. And the final one I want to say is that the issue of mentors, the few mentors that we have, sometimes they don't even know what is going on. And so they try to limit us themselves, that you need to be, one example of somebody being told that you need to be a pastor's wife. even though she felt she was being called. And eventually she realized it is she who is being called to fulfill her dream and career, not to be a pastor's wife. So these are some of the things that hinder us from moving forward in our career. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Helena. I'm scratching my head. What kind of mentor tells you what not to do? But it is what it is. I completely understand and I hear you loud and clear. We got Teresa and then we got Esther. In that order, please. Thank you.
Yes, hi everyone. I'm Teresa from Angola. I think one of the things that hinders our planning for a career, especially those who are in marriage, is the institutional policies that they have. Most of them, they want you to be under your husband's mission. Unless they're hiring your husband, it's okay, you go straight. But for you to just be given a contract, they have to go pass through your husband, not through you directly. So this is one of the biggest problem I can speak of because I am in that situation. So yeah.
Oh, thank you, Teresa. Enoch. Sorry, we have a gentleman on the call. Enoch, you're the only one I recognize. I don't know if you're still there.
Yes, I'm here.
I'm sorry
I'm
to
here.
I'm sorry to pick on you, Enoch, but
No problem.
give us some thoughts about this from a man's perspective.
Personally, I think lots of awareness creation should go to men.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is one of writers, I think Frantz Fanon said, if you want to free the oppressed, you free the oppressor.
Mm-hmm.
And men have been a hindrance, even those who have gone to school. And it is time that we, the men, lived by example. I'll give you an example in my case. When we wanted to plan a family, it is me who went, not my wife. And I tell my fellow men that even men can go and not their wives. I have given access to my bank account to my wife. It is not a joint account, but she can sign and take the money. I don't have access to hers. 3, I have changed the title deed of our land in her name. And my people are saying the woman is sitting on my head, but I think that's an African expression. Mm-hmm. But I said she is not sitting because it is ours together. So I think it is time that we told the men that women are us. We are one. Mm-hmm. And therefore, let us give them access. It is not just a matter of by name, but let us do it practically. Let men say the property is under my wife's name. It is not even joint. It is hers, so that she knows she can own. Mm. That would be my whatever. Like if she wants to go to school, let her go. Mm-hmm. Let her do PhD or whatever. Let her go. Mm-hmm. Nobody should stop her. And it is the men who can do that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Enoch. I picked on you and you have lived up to my expectations. Thank you. You would belong to a group of men we in HAS East Africa call male allies. We call righteous brothers. Because if you don't have people who are inside unlocking doors, the way is constricted for women. So thank you so much. Esther, you're going to be our final contributor before I hand back to Verena.
Yeah, thank you. From my group, we have a list of reasons that inhibit women from career planning. And my group members mentioned multiple burdens, having a lot to do as a woman, a lot of activities that take so much of our time. Then problem of some people that are single mother, and you have nobody to support you. You are the one catering for your children and doing so many things. So sometimes you forget your own life and you are concerned about the children. Then time is like there is no enough time for so much to do. It's like the time should increase. Then there are times that when you even have time, some people are not good in time management, and they will not be able to finish what they have planned to do. Then there is no cooperation, sometimes from the husband, sometimes from the family members, sometimes from colleagues and things like that. There may be lack of network. You want people can support you and you are not getting anybody. Then in some African place, power supply, when there is no light, and somebody was saying that even as she's talking now, the battery is going low and she may not be able to join again. And then workplace problem too. When you are in a workplace where you are not given the opportunity to grow. And the last one is motherhood. That person said she really wanted to advance, but shifting focus to the children, helping them at school, helping them on their assignment, cooking for them, taking care of them has taken so much time. And at the end, I try to give a little suggestion that one, some of us have a supportive husband who really support us to be where we are today. Some of us have parents who also supported us, that when we were raising our children, they allow our mother to come and stay with us and help us with our baby so that we can focus on one or two things, and then some other support from our workplace. But it's not everybody that had that opportunity. But we still agree that we should look at what are our challenges and also map out what could be the solution so that we can be who God wants us to be. Thank you, ma.
Thank you so much, Esther. That is wonderful, really comprehensive. I am keeping my eye on the clock, but I have found this very, very informative. I was going to ask what one thing stood out for you, but the way we have gone round, it seems we have all got a good number of things that we're going to take away with us. But I want to commend one thing before I hand over to Verena to make her final announcements. Please, I assume you have access to these resources, and I fully understand where you're coming from with these multiple problems. Every problem has a solution, trust me. If you push hard enough, you will find a solution, or you will find a way to work with the problem. So look at the resources I recommended. Some of them are podcasts and so on. You have something to learn from others. And I just really want to, at this point, to thank you all very much for your attention, for your engagement. And if you want to keep in touch, and I've shared my contact. More than happy to have these kinds of conversations. I've had them with male ally groups. We also have contacts with men who are quite open to leading sessions with fellow men. So keep in touch, because we do need to move the needle so that our daughters are not dealing with the same problems that we have. And with that, I wish you all well, every blessing, and hopefully our paths will cross again. Thank you so much. I hand you back to Verena.